Alright everyone, time for a video on de-radicalization, something that definitely needs to be done for certain people. By the way, I am definitely not blind to the fact that there are indeed extreme and radical people on the right. And there are also extreme and radical libertarians. Although mainly they just want to smoke weed and skirt the NFA or whatever, wear some boomer camo and grow their weed plants. But some people seem to think, and this isn't unique to people on the right, this is unique to most people with strong opinions, there tends to be, at some level, I think, the belief in people that springs up that they're incapable of reasoning with others that they disagree with. Now, I would say there are people on the left, for instance. There are people who, because they have been taught incorrectly, they believe in the bullshit lies of far leftism, which really, in some cases, are more of an outgrowth of imperialism in China than anything else, and the desire by the Chinese to improve their public image largely for fiscal reasons. So when you have people, therefore, that don't understand the massive death toll of communism, or that ascribe mundane deaths of every possible type to capitalistic policies that aren't even tied to the cause of death, it's not because they didn't go out one day. You need to understand about your fellow man and your fellow Ziers, of course. People don't go out of their way to be ignorant. People don't maliciously decide one day, hey, you know what, I'm going to prop up an ideology that fucking sucks. No, they've been misled by propaganda. Leftists have been misled. They are wrong, but they're not sitting there from the angle of wanting to hurt and destroy other people. Some of them do. There are people on the right that appear to have the same unfortunate mentality. By and large, though, when we have strong opinions, the reason why we're voicing them is we believe them to be correct. The reason why I make my videos, I'm making this video, I believe that my summation of this particular subject is fundamentally correct. If I didn't, I wouldn't be making it. And I literally, it's my job to put out those opinions, and it's very wonderful. At the end of the day, I'm not going to try to go out of my way to fool other people, because if I fuck my subscribers over, my subscribers lose wealth. Well, I potentially lose some. If they get all fucked up and stuff, it makes me morally culpable in some way. So I go out of my way to defend the beliefs that I believe happen to be number one, true, and number two, positive. Leftists are doing the same thing. By and large, when you're sparring on Twitter, which has devolved into a complete fucking joke echo chamber at this point, or maybe a better site, when you are debating someone who is a self-proclaimed Marxist or a social democrat or some other left-wing ideology, and the latter is used as a facade term for socialism, just to be clear. Social democracy does not mean what most of the prominent self-proclaimed social democrats expressing such views actually is. They are professing socialism and using a more boomer-friendly facade term to try to avoid reasoned debate. What you've got, though, is a situation where they're pushing those ideas because they believe that they're true. Therefore, they can be redeemed and de-radicalized, and effort should be taken towards that. However, keep in mind the road to hell paved with good intentions. You are more likely to be able to dissuade someone who's genuinely being stupid and malevolent than someone who genuinely believes in what they're professing. The problem is that, and this isn't, again, just with leftists. There are plenty of people on the right and plenty of other groups of people. They're very stubborn in their beliefs. Because they believe in the fundamental justification of what they're pushing, it takes a long time and restraint, I would say, in order to de-radicalize them. It can be very difficult. The problem is that the more fanatic the beliefs, the more that they believe in the righteousness of their system, of their socio-political views, the harder they'll fight for them and the more potentially dangerous the person, by the way, can actually be. When we look at Antifa members, yes, there are some psychos that just join up to throw rocks. But by and large, these people, despite the fact that they are self-evidently, objectively, and from the outside looking in, easily and provably, observably wrong, that they're fighting actually for corporatism, not for a stateless society, not against fascists, they're just being a bunch of scumbags. They actually believe, though, the opposite. When they fill piss bottles up and throw them at the police, they think that they're just dousing a fascist with pee. They don't see any problem with it because they've been lied to, and they've been told, well, all cops are bastards. They want to shoot you and destroy you. Because they've been radicalized into that belief, it's very difficult to show them actual reasoned statistics or anecdotes in some cases and be like, well, I was a cop, my dad was a cop, stuff, we never killed anyone. There's a difference between beat cops and commissioners. There's a difference between sheriffs and metro forces. There's a difference between federal marshals and your local PD. But that's all lost in translation. There's no real, it's difficult to explain these nuances to someone who they've got a wall up in front of them that keeps them from hearing or seeing the truth, and it's it's propaganda. Someone else built the wall. They didn't put it up usually themselves. They didn't wall themselves into a bizarre ideology, nor did people on like the furthest right, people who have gone full Deus Vult or whatever. These people didn't corral themselves into the ideology. In many cases, it took years for them to slowly absorb those sorts of beliefs. People have tried to do this to me too. I've had people try to convert me to all sorts of bizarre ideologies. Yes, I have had communists attempt to reason with me. Sticks, you would be a valuable asset to communism. Here's the top 5 reasons why you should worship Karl Marx. I've had people like ethnonats and stuff try to convince me of their ideology too. ANCAPs have done the same. The fact that I don't argue for a stateless society and I'm essentially constitutionalist in nature can peeve these people, and I've had people attempt to convert me to 100,000 different views. This even happens, by the way, on a non-ideological basis with content creation in general. Therefore, I'll have one person message me and say, Sticks, you should just stick to what you're good at and only make the political content. Nobody cares about the MREs, nobody cares about the occult, yada, yada, yada. I'll have another person, and they're telling me that, partially because that's their genuine interest and partially because they care about the content and feel I'm simply better at it. Another person will say, well, Sticks, you got to mix it up. Your content's getting stale because all you do is talk about current events. You should do more philosophy. Where's the garden update and stuff? We want to see you eat, fucking weird food. You can't do both. Neither of these people is being malevolent. They're just trying, they honestly and genuinely in many cases want to help you with the content creation. By the way, I appreciate constructive criticism. I don't appreciate it so much when people show up calling me racial slurs and especially homophobic references. It doesn't bother me, but it's like, it's not helping me improve the content, dog. So yes, believe it or not, here's a message of hope. You can de-radicalize leftists. I've done it myself. It does take time, though. It can be difficult. Just like with any ideological echo chamber as well, you got to realize, like, if you're, this is why I'm not going to debate on Twitter at this point. Occasionally, I make a shit post there, because if there's an echo chamber of leftists there, when one person pierces the echo chamber and points out how they're wrong, you just get swarmed by the rest of them, and they self-impose that echo chamber through peer pressure. Right-wingers do this all the time as well. That's why, by the way, one reason why leftists are so concerned about alt-tech, because the early big names that have gotten on there have already constructed a loose, systematic echo chamber. Now, it's less so, arguably, now than even like YouTube, but it still does exist. There is in-group self-policing, basically, of beliefs. But it can be pierced. It takes time and effort. And if you're not into that sort of thing, well, then you're just shitposting. That's about all. Peace out.